Unhappy NUPENG says that Dangote's recent move is a great gift to Nigerians and should not be believed, and it's one that it might go on strike, as it accuses Dangote of reneging on the agreement and the memorandum of understanding. Internal troubles within the APC. Attention is on River State and how the party will bounce back from these internal troubles. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I am Sean Wakimale here in Abuja. Attention is on the NUPENG's anger about Dangote, and that might impact on the oil and gas sector, petroleum sector in Nigeria, the products on the street, in the filling station, the movement and the transportation of it, and what is being a competitive market, which is caused a lot of stir in the last few days. Of course, we've seen the organization, the NUPENG, the association, going head-to-head with the Dangote Refinery, and the federal government has intervened in the matter. But we thought that everything has been resolved until that NUPENG has come out to say Dangote is reneging on the agreement and they might go on strike. We'll be getting insight tonight on the program. But of course, a lot is happening in reverse politics, and that my guest tonight will be weighing in on the matter. Before we get talking, everyone, tonight, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
The Federal High Court sitting in Abuja has granted an application filed by the Department of State Services, DSS, to extradite proceedings in the trial of the suspected mastermind of the August 26, 2011 bombing of the United Nations building in Abuja, Khalid Al-Banawi, and 4 others. The DSS, through his counsel, Mr. Alex Zion, had moved the application for accelerated hearing on the grounds that the service is prepared to ensure that the case is determined in a timely manner. In the application, which was not opposed by counsels to the defendant, parties were allowed to watch video recordings presented by the DSS to prove that the extrajudicial statement made by the defendant was done voluntarily, as against the claim of some of the defendants. In Kano State, the state government has approved the establishment of the Kano State Mobilization Task Force on voter registration. According to the state government, the initiative is a strategic intervention designed to mobilize and encourage full participation of Kano citizens in the ongoing voter registration exercise with a view to ensuring maximum success. Meanwhile, the Minister of Women Affairs, Mr. Iman Suleiman, is promising improved welfare for the staff of the ministry to enable them to discharge their duties better. The minister, who made a commitment at the meeting with a group staff in Abuja, says she remains open to suggestions that will help improve the mandate of the ministry. The meeting is holding 2 days after workers in the ministry held a protest alleging poor leadership and welfare by the minister. Former Attorney General and Minister of Justice and leader of the African Democratic Congress, APC, in Kebbi State, Abubakar Malami, has petitioned security officials over the alleged plot to destabilize Kebbi State through the importation of political thugs, foreign mercenaries, and illegal armed trafficking. Malami is raising concern in the petition dated September 10, 2025, addressed to the National Security Advisor, NSA, the Inspector General of Police, IGP, the Director General of the Department of State Services, DSS, and the Comptroller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service and the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. According to the petition, certain political actors are allegedly collaborating with foreign mercenaries from the Niger Republic and arming them through illegal channels.
Where do we begin from? Let's begin from the issues, the row between NUPENG and Dangote. So it's just about 48 hours since we saw what looked like an agreement and a way forward between the two organizations. But the suspension of the strike embarked upon by the leadership of the union is now raising an alarm that management of the Dangote Refinery had reneged on the resolutions reached. In a statement jointly signed by the President and General Secretary of the union, Comrades Williams Akureha and Folabi Olawale, the union hints that it might resume the suspended strike action following a breach of the agreement reached between Dangote Refinery the federal government and all truck drivers who are members of NUPENG and PTD. The statement adds that at a meeting convened by the State Security Service and attended by the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, representatives of the Nigerian Labour Congress, the management of Dangote Refinery and Petrochemicals agreed to the unionization of its employees. The statement further adds that the union is alerting the general public and the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that notwithstanding the resolution reached and signed at the office of the DSS with 3 ministers in the Federal Republic of Nigeria cabinet and the Deputy Director General of the DSS in attendance on the right of unionization of the workers, Mr. Seyo Aliyu Dantata, on Wednesday, 10th September 2025, instructed all his truck drivers who are NUPENG PTD members for several years to remove the union stickers from their trucks yesterday. NUPENG also says that the move by Dangote to reduce the price of products and deliver those products in like manner across the country is a Greek gift, and that Nigerians should not be deceived. Let me bring on my guest tonight on the program. I'm being joined by a co-founder of Sahara Energy, who was the governorship candidate of the APC in Rivers State in the 2023 elections. Mr. Toyin Cole is live for us from our Lagos studio. Thank you so much, Mr. Cole, for joining us tonight.
Always a pleasure, Sharon.
First and foremost, for those who have been following this, you know the implication as someone who had operated in 2-3 layers, or maybe in all of the 3 layers of the sector: the upstream, the downstream, the middle stream. You know the implication of the transporters, because the NUPENG as an association, for example, and you know what this could mean for availability of the product, the pricing of the product, and the stability of transportation in the country should this one organization or association decide to down tool and go on strike. Immediately, what comes to your mind? What do you think will be a biggest blow to the economy should NUPENG go on strike?
You know, right now, Nigerians are in such a difficult situation that the last thing that they want is another fuel crisis on the streets. And so that's why you see the government, first of all, getting up to intervene in any kind of quarrel between Dangote and NUPENG. So, in a democracy, there are certain things that must happen. The first aspect is that let us understand and agree that every private individual or institution will not want a union. That's not their plan at all. So that's the first aspect of it. However, you cannot operate without checks and balances, and that's why unions become necessary. They keep a check and balance as far as the workers are concerned. But then you have a government that must represent the interests of the people. And where you have all 3 working together, you find harmony. And that is what we must get to. No one party can get away with just putting only their position in play. Nigerians cannot afford another scarcity of fuel today.
But in all of this, right, you look at just about 2-3 days ago, it was on Wednesday, today is Friday. What do you think could have gone wrong? Because the allegation is that Dangote Refinery had instructed some of these truck drivers to remove their stickers off their trucks. I mean, you have led an organization in the private sector. Unionization, should anybody be employed, or why the importance of this conversation? Why is it coming now?
You know, like I said, the first aspect of it, where unions are interested, it's always a matter of trust. Where you have issues where people do not trust the brother or sister institution of protecting their interests, they come together so that they can form a strong voice, a lobbying voice that can force the other party to listen. And that's where unions come in. Now, as I said it before, there is no organization that likes the unionization of their workers. But they have come to accept over the years, we're talking about at least 60 years in the industry, whereby unions have become a necessary counterbalance to organizations. And there's something that is coming into Nigerian lexicon that we have to be very careful about, and that is the issue of impunity. And I saw in the letter that the unions wrote, they use that word impunity. We have to be very careful because it's creeping in over and over and over again in Nigerian lexicon. It's something we have to pay attention to.
Do you think that Dangote Refinery is handling these in the right way?
Well, what I would say is that if they signed an agreement, and that agreement which we all saw, that agreement had certain conditions to be met. The minute you sign that agreement, integrity demands that you obey or you stand by your agreement. If you're going to renegotiate the agreement or there are things that you don't like, then you call everybody together and you renegotiate it. What I saw, and from the federal government's perspective, an agreement was reached. And as long as that agreement has been reached, then my position would be that you have to honor the agreement.
So what do you see? I mean, and I asked you that question for someone in the private sector. You run the business as a private sector interest, just like Dangote. You make a lot of investment and you are focusing on your profit and how to run your business, and you see this kind of thing going on. How do you explain what is playing out between Dangote and NUPENG?
Okay, so what I would say is that on the one hand, why is there a fracas in the first instance? I would say that Dangote wants to recover their costs. They've spent a lot of money. There are lots of things, whether it's in production, in cost, in transportation, and all of that. So on the one hand, you have Dangote trying to make sure that they recover their costs. On the other hand, you have NUPENG trying to ensure that their trucks are still on the road, their workers are employed, they have a good salary out of all of this, and all this adds to the bottom line. So you have the NUPENG and the protection of workers increasing costs, whether it's marginally or otherwise. But their position will ensure that there is a marginal increase in cost on the NUPENG end. For the Dangote end, they want to remove all of that and bring it down to minimum zero. And that's where you have the differences. Now, somebody has to mediate in the middle of all of this, and that's where the federal government comes in. They sit down and mediate and look at the NUPENG cost and agree to arrive at a point that should be okay. And Dangote then agrees to pay what has been negotiated. Once you have come to that agreement, which is what I believe had been agreed to, once that agreement has been done by all parties, my position, if I was in the business sector, would be to begin to operate that and see how it turns out in the bottom line. You can always come back to renegotiate a position, but to cancel and not do it at all, I think it portends dangerous signals for the industry. So
Dangote has invested heavily in the downstream, and there are marketers who are worried that why is Dangote looking like it's taking an overwhelming and overarching and taking a monopolistic approach in the market. But do you see it as a monopoly, or you just see a businessman running his business?
No, you see, Sean, almost every business that comes up, especially at the scale of Dangote, would always want to move towards monopoly. And antecedents has always shown, whether it's in the sugar, it's in the cement and all of that, that is the way and the trend in which he would want to move. So we already know that that's how he wants to move. But that's not where the game ends. At the end of the day, competition is very, very necessary. So I am one advocate that competition makes nations stronger, competition makes businesses stronger, competition makes industry stronger, and most importantly, competition benefits the citizens the most. And so it will be extremely dangerous and totally unacceptable for any kind of monopoly to exist within Nigeria. So if that is where you are going and that's where it seems to be tending, then the answer would be no. Allow competition. Now the question is this: When we're talking about refineries, right now, you have NNPC's refineries or the government's refineries which are not working or working somewhat, I don't know. And you have Dangote's refinery which is working. The counterbalance to all of this is that those who don't have a refinery today, which is where the argument is, are importing products, and the products that are being landed are landing cheaper than what Dangote is producing and or is selling to the public. And that is where the issue is. So anyway, let me leave it at that for now.
No, but what do we do?
Okay.
Dangote will want to recoup his investment. Dangote is in the business to make money. Absolutely. When there is competition, it is a natural course of economics that pricing will be affected, and customers will benefit from a competitive market. In that sense, there are a lot of citizens who will say, well, we love the fact that the prices are coming down. Dangote keeps driving the pricing down. Nigerians are having more money to keep in their pocket rather than spending it. Isn't that good news?
Okay, so the question, and you asked a beautiful question there. Who is paying for the cost, right, of the investment that has been made by Dangote over the years? Now, this is where the issue is. If you allow a monopoly to exist, then Nigerians will pay the cost totally for that investment. What you need to do is allow the competitive market to drive the repayment of that cost over time. So instead of recouping the cost in 1 year, it may take you 4 years, 5 years to recoup it. It's okay as long as the competition works. And I know that the numbers today will work for Nigerians over a longer period of time. The question here is, how quickly do you want to recoup the investment that has been spent? Where the competition is saying no, the market price landed today will ensure that you recoup in a longer period of time rather than recoup quicker. That's where the issue is. And that's what the competition is doing outside. And this doesn't have anything to do with NUPENG. This is between the competitors in the industry. So
you look at what Dangote has done, how many hundreds of trucks now, CNG trucks, and Dangote is even advertised and saying, this is the price that we're going to sell the product in this state, in this region of the country, and or whatnot. I said, don't worry, we're bringing the products to you, and it will ease the pain. Dangote said, don't mind those who are saying there will be scarcity. There won't be scarcity. We have enough to sell to Nigerians, and we have the trucks to deliver to them. There are those who will say, yeah, that's an interesting game as far as Nigerians are concerned. Really removing the myth and the veil that the market has hitherto brought into play, but Dangote has demystified it, and there are those who say, okay, maybe it's a good way to go. Let us have maybe another refinery or another player. If it comes into play, maybe things will also be revolutionized for the interest of the average person. So the question again here, Dangote having all of these trucks and delivering it, do you think it naturally offended some of the marketers or some of the truck drivers or the truck owners whose major business is trucking and transporting this? Dangote has disrupted the market.
Look, Sean, market disruption is always good. And remember that I said competition is healthy for everybody. So market disruption is something that we will always agree with. The issue with when you disrupt a market is that it is actually competing against other forces in that market. Now, where the question is when you want to ban other forces from competing. That's really where the issue is. We're not talking about competition that is open for everyone. Allow competition. Do not use government forces to say that we are banning a segment, banning NUPENG, banning imports, banning marketers, banning everybody so that we can be the ones to drive the price because we are driving it down. That is not safe. I will repeat, that is not safe for anybody. Disrupt the market. Excellent. When you disrupt the market, compete with others in that disruption. Even more beautiful. Who will benefit from that is that the industry will get better. It will get more efficient. NUPENG will become more efficient. Transporting will become more efficient. Production will become more efficient. The products will become even better. And this is what competition does. So I will repeat, allow competition. When you allow competition, it will be better. If Dangote says that we're distributing products free of charge all the way to wherever it is in Nigeria, excellent. What you will see on the other hand is that NUPENG will become better. Then they will say that, okay, we too will deliver it free of charge on these conditions. Why? Because there is a cost to everything. Let me repeat, there is nothing in my entire history of business that is free. Nothing is given free. You give it with one hand, you take it back with the other hand. Nothing is free. There's a cost to everything, including those trucks.
But when NUPENG said, do not believe Dangote, what Dangote is doing is a Greek gift. Don't be deceived, Nigerians. What do you make of that kind of statement?
So when NUPENG knows their prices, they know the workers, they know the industry, they know where they're going to and all of that. So when they say that the responsibility for Dangote at the end of the day is also to compete with accountability, now show the price, show how much you are saving in terms of trucks, show what the comparison is between a NUPENG price and your price, and let Nigerians begin to see transparency and accountability. Remember that this entire thing is based around trust. When people do not trust what you say and they don't trust what you do, then they will question every single thing of it. So people don't trust NUPENG on the one hand, they don't trust Dangote on the other hand. They now want to see, can we see the numbers? Can we see the evidence? If NUPENG is saying it's a great gift, don't just say it by word of mouth. Produce the numbers to show that this is a great gift. Because from your experience, A, B, C, D is what the cost component is. There are many people, Nigerians are not foolish, and there are many people who have been in this industry for a long time, and they know the numbers. The minute NUPENG can show their numbers and Dangote can show their numbers, you will have many people who will come here and analyze and tell you this person is telling the truth, this one is lying. But look at it. Nobody wants to show their numbers. Please show the numbers.
A Greek gift is such a... So, I mean, I'm looking at what NUPENG might be inferring in what they meant. A Greek gift is one thing that gives immediate succor, but could bring a pain in the end. What danger because what NUPENG is saying is that the offer for the nationwide delivery of petroleum products to dispensing stations by Dangote could have a painful or a negative implication to Nigerians. I mean, could there be any truth in that?
Sean, NUPENG will have to answer. Like I said to you, NUPENG knows their numbers. They see what, they know how many truck drivers they have, they know how many trucks are on the road, they know the cost for delivery to each part of this country, and they know what it takes. So that's on the one hand. I support competition. And I support Dangote coming out and saying that I am going to deliver. I have no problem with that. In fact, I will encourage that he does that. What that will do on the other hand is that NUPENG is going to say immediately to Nigerians that we can do better. We can counter. This is the numbers. It's a great gift. This is why. Don't just say it as a word of mouth. Bring proof. Bring results. Bring numbers and come and show us why it is a great gift. And that way people will understand. Again, competition is healthy. If there is a monopoly, you have a big problem. So let NUPENG create the competition, let Dangote create the competition, let other marketers create the competition, and Nigerians will be better off for it.
There are those who will be worried that NUPENG is just wanting the old order to come in play because they are not used to a competition. They are used to also benefiting from what the system has given, which may not be entirely into the benefit of the Nigerian people. So if you say Dangote is running a monopolistic system, so why don't you revive the 4 refineries that Nigeria owns? Why don't you privatize them? Why don't you make them work? One person is making them work. So what is the problem there? Is there anything the federal government could do to stop any kind of monopoly if there is one?
Yes, there is. So first of all, for the sake of Nigerians, can we privatize those refineries and put them in the hands of people that can make them work? We do not have enough refineries in Nigeria as we speak today to meet our demands. So allow those refineries to work. That's the first thing. If I were the government today, I will prioritize the privatization of those refineries, with government keeping a stake in it so that the people's interests are still represented in it. You don't have to sell it 100%. Keep a stake in it so that you have an eye, you have a nose, you know exactly what is going on. But there is competition and the people's interest is represented. As for NUPENG on their own, to the first part of your question, they cannot be a monopoly either, which means that competition will drive them to greater efficiency. And that's why I love competitive environment. It helps everybody improve. So what are the solutions? One, all the refineries should be privatized, all of them with immediate effect. Two, allow competition across board in the production, in the distribution of products, in the petrol stations and pricing of what we have. Allow those things to happen. You will have no problem with Nigeria.
I look at, just quickly before we go on our break, I look at some of the resolutions reached and arrived at, mediated by the federal government, and there are just about 5 of them. And it says that, that since workers' unionization is a right in line with the provisions of the extant laws, the management of Dangote Refinery and Petrochemicals agreed to the unionization of employees of Dangote Refinery and unionization of employees of petrochemicals who are willing to unionize. Secondly, they said that the process of unionization shall commence immediately and be completed within 2 weeks. That's between 9th and the 22nd of September 2024. And it was agreed that the employer will not set up any other union. And arising from the strike notice, no worker or employee of Dangote Refinery and Petrochemical will be victimized. The fourth one is that parties will revert to the Honorable Minister of Labor a week after the conclusion of the engagement. And the fifth one, based on the MOU, NUPENG agreed to suspend the industrial action with immediate effect. Before we go on that break, based on this MOU, what else do you think government can do? Because government mediated, they arrived at it, but 2 days later, the union is saying Dangote has reneged. How do you think the federal government can intervene? Because they say when 2 elephants fight, the grass suffers. Okay. If there is a strike by NUPENG, you have said it, it has economic effect, it has transportation challenges that it will pose on Nigerians. So what else is the option left for the federal government in this case? Okay,
so there's only one thing that the federal government can do at this point in time. First of all, call all parties back to the table, but this time with a very stern warning. Something somewhere broke down. Either the Dangote Refinery, the Dangote Group saw something in what was agreed that was unpalatable. They could not accept it and decided to renege. Let's assume that that's the case. Or NUPENG made an additional demand which they chose not to agree to. So something has broken down because there was an agreement. Something has broken down. Now it's the responsibility of the federal government to call both parties to the table with a very stern warning. Because at the end of the day, not only do we have to begin to hold people accountable for their actions, there must also be a punishment that goes to when you renege or you put national interest in jeopardy. And right now, the interest and security and stability of this nation is at threat. You cannot afford a fuel scarcity at this point. People are already angry. They are struggling, they are suffering, and you want to bring petroleum queues back? I don't think we can afford it, not at this point.
We take a break, everyone, but when we come back, one more question on this matter, then I'll take Mr. Tony Cole to his political turf in Rivers State. They say he's the leader of the APC in Rivers State, and the exit of Rotimi Amechi, his very good friend, who has since abandoned the party and moved on to the ADC. But under Tony Cole, the APC is falling apart. A third candidate into the local government election, but they say he was the hand of APC and the leg of PDP that had the ticket of the APC in the local council election. What exactly is going on? They've gone to the national to plead for peace and unity. But is Tonyeko really in charge? He's here tonight to answer to those questions. Or is he a bye-bye to the APC's existence in that state? A very big one. After we'll turn for this break, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. Before we move into the Rivers politics, we are understanding that there was another round of meeting earlier today, and the issue may have been resolved amicably. We are hoping that, emerging from that meeting, which we understand has been going on for the last few hours or minutes, and that something concrete in terms of resolution will come out of it and more information will emerge. But my question here, on one hand, is can anyone force anybody? Because in the MOU, it shows that no association can force anybody to join any union as a right. And also, the victimization or the powers an organization has over its workers does not override his rights to be able to belong to any association of his or her choice. So you look at these two entities, NUPENG and Dangote, there are definitely interests in all of this. And there are those who are not happy, and there are those who are thinking that the free will and the free manner in which Dangote is operating could be could have negative effect in all of this. What exactly are the underlining, if we are to be truthful to ourselves, to what end is NUPENG going and to what end is Dangote playing in all of this? Let's be truthful to Nigerians, Mr. Toyeko.
For every business, what they're looking for is how they can reduce the cost to the barest minimum. So let's remember that. So from a Dangote perspective, if you can remove unions and operate without the overshadowing, let me call it a headache of unionized staff, it will be excellent for him. On the other hand, a union is looking to protect the interests of their workers, fair prices, fair salaries, benefits when it comes to health benefits, welfare, and all of those things. And so unions come together so that they have a stronger body when they are all together, so that they can face the management of the other hand. They are both necessary evils. You need both of them to counterbalance each other. The issue here is, where do you meet in the middle? So nobody is for a totally unionized state. No one is for a totally monopolistic state. What they are there for is that they must counterbalance. And that is what this is all about. At the end of the day, the unions are going to agree to something that is less than optimum, and the Dangote Refinery is going to agree to something that is less than optimum. But they will agree on something that both parties can work with, and they will live with it. This has been the way of business since the day that unions started till today, anywhere in the world.
Let me take you to Rivers State. Mr. Tony Cole, I'd like to ask you this question. They say, based on the order and convention of politics in Nigeria and in your party, that the person who fly the flag of the party last in the major election is seen as a leader, although not elected to manage the party, but is there is a consensus that this person is the leader of the party. There are those who think in the exit of Rotimi Amechi, your very good friend, from the APC, that you naturally becomes the leader of the party. There are those who are now accusing you that you're not in charge. You're not playing that role. Are you the leader of the APC in Rivers State?
So the answer to that technically is yes. I've run twice under the APC. I've been gubernatorial candidate twice under the APC. So naturally, as we speak today, yes, I am the leader of the APC in Rivers State with the exit of Rotimi Amechi. So that is, I don't know anybody who can dispute that fact. So for now, that's what it is.
But why have you absconded or left your role? They said you have not come onto the plate. You have not been acting like one. Your party is rudderless. Your party is astray. And there are those who are saying it's looking like your party is going under.
Very good question. So first and foremost, we all know that as far as APC is concerned in Rivers State, Rotimi Amechi was in charge of APC in Rivers State. There is absolutely no way while he was there that I would get up and start contending, contesting against, putting a position there. So he had to play the role that he needed to play. He decided that he was moving to ADC, and the minute he decided that he was going to go, the responsibility then fell on me to make a decision as to what I wanted to do. Do I go to ADC or do I stay in APC? It was my decision that the best place to correct a lot of the wrongs that we are seeing today in Rivers politics would be to stand where I was and begin to control it. Look, a house divided can never stand. And we have had division in APC right from the day that we've been there, from way back from 2015 up until now. And what has caused that division is what we're trying to address at this point. There have been very personal interests that have not been taken care of. Nobody has sat down to reconcile all parties to ensure that we have a strong party that allows for opposition. Rivers State politics has been very bitter, very divided, very violent, and very Machiavellian. All of that needs to stop. And for me, I believe that that is the unique gift that we have. If we are going to save the state from itself, then we need to start by reconciling a lot of very bitter enemies.
Let me ask you, who is the chairman of your party in Rivers State?
Legally, the chairman of the party is Emeka Bekee. That is the legal position today.
I mean, do you have a relationship with Emeka Bekee? Are you in tune with him?
Of course, I have a relationship with Emeka Bekee. Emeka Bekee was the chairman of the party when I ran as governor, for governorship candidate. So that is the APC that is recognized by law, and that's the APC with which I represented.
So, what about Tony Okocha? Where does he belong?
Very easy. From the beginning, we've known that Tony Okocha belongs, he was an APC member that worked with the former minister, or the former governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, current minister. And so we had always said from day one, his agenda was very simple: project Nyesom Wike's agenda from a PDP perspective inside of APC. And that needed to be reconciled. So it's a house that was deliberately done. Remember that we were running an election. And the best way for PDP at the time to destabilize APC so that we do not win the election at that point was to have people infiltrate and divide the house straight off. And that's exactly what happened. So APC imploded by having two factions that were fighting over the same thing. One was PDP sponsored, while the other one was APC led. We knew it. Everybody knew that was what was happening. We came here, you talked about it, and we saw the fact that if that is the way it's going to be, at the end of the day, the house is going to be divided and there will be a problem.
So what do you do now? There are those, now, the local government chairmen who won the election are those of Tony Okocha. Am I right?
Correct. No, there's no disputing that.
Yeah. So it means that some of you who call yourself APC members have now been thrown to the backyard.
No, that's not what it means. So the first aspect of it is this. in Nigerian politics, one of the things that we have seen over and over again is that people move from one party to another, they cross carpet, there is no ideology as far as political parties are concerned. People move as far as interest is concerned. So we know today that all the PDP councillors and those who went in primaries and they went in as PDP, they came out as APC, no problem. We do not, there's no need disputing that. We've seen that that has happened. What they're all wearing today is that they're wearing APC colors. So again, no disputing. Now, what has to be done is that since they have decided that they are now APC, then they have to follow the allegiance of where APC as a structure must stand. And that's where it is. So, who is their leader? If their leader is the Minister of the Federal Republic, Nyesom Wike, then the question is this: is he APC or is he PDP? As far as we know today, he is PDP. Now the question is, and this is where the confusion lies, and we must straighten it and clear it, and I don't have any problem with this. If you are PDP, then be PDP. But we cannot continue confusing the electorate in Rivers State and confusing Nigerians, because it is dangerous for democracy that you are in one party, you are controlling another party, and we are creating a one-party, trying to create a one-party state that is a mixture that nobody is clear about, and we're going into elections that way. What does it portend for Nigeria moving forward? It means that you can have a president that is PDP, and he's controlling National Party APC as a president, and Nigerians will just sit down and not know who to vote for. Where are we going? The point here is that sanity has to come into the political environment. If you're APC, you're APC. If you're PDP, you're PDP. If you're ADP, you're ADP. If you're Labour, you're Labour. And let us start building political parties that mean something to people. This entire movement and shifts that we don't know who is who anymore must stop. So my agenda is very simple. Can we begin to be very clear about what political parties stand for and who they attract, so that we know what we are voting for? Right now, there is too much confusion, and we have to clean it up.
I mean, is it not embarrassing for some of you who say you are leading the APC, accusing Nyesom Wike, who said, I am a PDP member? Wike has never said he's an APC member. And now those of you who are saying that he's controlling the APC, his one leg is APC. The man said he's a PDP member. Those who say, look, it is you people that have not been able to get a hold of your party and take charge of your party. Why would a PDP member be running your party for you?
Sheon, absolutely correct. And that is why I have come into the picture. We are not disputing the fact. It is a big shame to everybody who calls themselves an APC leader. Believe me, right from the president down to the smallest member in APC in Rivers State, it is a big shame. And we cannot allow it. So any candidate, anyone who is an APC, authentic APC member from the beginning till now, that allows this to continue is a big shame to all of us, which is why we must sit down and say that enough is enough. Let us now address the fact as to how we want politics to begin to run. Now, if we say, as Nigerians, that what we want now is that there is no clear party, and that's how Nigerian politics is now going to be shaped. So it doesn't matter whether the governor is LP, his candidates are anywhere, and he controls everything. That's the kind of politics that we want. If that's what we agree as Nigerians, then we know that that's what we're doing. But nobody has chatted.
But quickly, let me ask you. Yeah. Let me ask you quickly. We are due for another break. But quickly, tell me, Mr. Tonya Cole, your friend Rotimi Amaechi has gone to the ADC. And you told me earlier that you will not go to ADC. Is that your final answer?
But it's clear. You see, and what is good about what Rotimi Amaechi does is that you know where he stands. There's no ambiguity about it. He said that he wasn't supporting APC. He said he was forming APC. He says that he's running under APC, and he has gone. And every time that you've asked me on this question, I've consistently said that He is somebody who decides what he wants to do and he sticks to his guns. So there's no problem there. He's gone. And I've left everybody to ask him so that he defends himself, and he's well capable of doing so. I respect his decision.
Yeah. So the question here is that we understand that there is a possibility of Governor Sim Fubara returning to office after the expiration of the period of state of emergency. And there are also talks to bring him into the APC fold. So if that happens, it's almost a guaranteed automatic ticket for Sim Fubara for the APC ticket. And we understand that you want to run again in 2027 for governor. In that scenario, would you still stay in the APC?
Why not? So here now we talk about what you call our primary. Remember, Sean, one thing that I've always talked about is that competition is good for everybody. Now, if Sim comes and APC as a party, which I belong to, now decide that, you know what, come into the APC, then he has come into the APC. Good, excellent. Now, the question is that on what grounds and how are we then moving forward in terms of primaries and competition and all of that? I have already made myself clear that I am in for the running for governor come 2027. And this is where I am. So which means that there is going to be a competition for that position. And it is healthy. If God decides that I win because of whatever ideas I bring forward and that I become the candidate in 2027, excellent. Then we look on the other side. Who are we competing against? Who is PDP bringing? Are we decimating PDP in Rivers State so that there's no party called PDP? Is that healthy for Rivers State? That's the question we have to ask. Is that what we want?
Okay.
Do we want... Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Just give me a moment, Mr. Cole. We'll go on a break, and when we return, we'll conclude our conversation.
My name is Austin Azuko Kocha, but you all call me JJ. That's because I was so unstoppable, they named me twice. During my days as a professional footballer, I played as an attacking midfielder. No one could stop me, not even malaria, when mosquito bites. Now you too can be unstoppable if you use Lonat against malaria.
Lonat, a combination of Artemether and lumefantrine. Lonat, be unstoppable.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us on the program. Our concluding moment with Mr. Tonya Cole, 2023 governorship candidate of the APC. So, in essence, you are welcoming Sim Fubara to the APC because we understand that some of your members of their party, and in fact, we understand that it's part of the package in all of the politicking that it should go into the APC. A lot of dynamics will play out in that sense. And don't forget, the APC is, on the other hand, which Rotimi Amechi is leading, in Rivers State. But wouldn't that, for a moment, change a lot of things as far as the APC is concerned in Rivers State?
No, it would not. And the reason being that the only person who is left to make a declaration as to where he stands in terms of all of this is the minister Nyesom Wike. And where I would implore him to act, very, very, very simple and honorably, is to come and join the APC. Leave the PDP. Come and join the APC so that we all know now that we are standing in one block. No division, no confusion, nothing. Everybody is one block. This is where we are. So that we begin to play the dynamics of party politics in the state. Allow PDP to be. Allow ADC to be. Allow Labour to be. Allow YPP to be. That's what democracy is about. Let parties form their strength and come into the equation. Once that happens, then we know where we are. But as it is right now, nah.
So, on a final note, in all of this, there are those who actually say, where is the likes of Magnus Abe and the rest? But fundamentally, there was a man who ran against President Bola Tinubu in the primaries of your party, And at that level, you ran in the election, but he ran for the primaries, and that's Tien Jack Rich. And those who will say that is perhaps the person who has a national leadership posture in your party. Are you talking with him? What effort are you making with the likes of Magnus Abbey and the rest, and especially Tien Jack Rich?
So over the last couple of weeks, we have been I've been personally just making consultations to different people one by one and speaking to them about the state of our party in Rivers State and where we need to go and all of that. I'm yet to speak to 10, but at different levels, I will reach every single person, because my belief is that we all have to come together to save the state from what we are seeing today. We are in the news always for the wrong thing. And Rivers State is just one strange experiment in democracy which we have to end.
Tonya Cole, co-founder, Sahara Energy, and the candidate of the APC in the 2023 governorship election. It's a pleasure having you join us tonight on the program.
Always.
Appreciate it. That's our program tonight. Many thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Sean Kimale. God bless Nigeria.